What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. Yesterday I showed off some combos for Cyber-Stein deck, and I'm going to show you just a few gameplay videos, nothing too crazy because it is the same combo over and over again. So obviously you guys know I'm not going to end up explaining all this because it's fairly complicated, and the whole idea is just to get 3 warrior monsters on the field, and other than that your combo is exactly the same after. So the thing I find very funny about this deck, and I have been called some heinous things tonight playing this deck. I'm not like super ignorant. I can understand, of course, why people would be fairly upset about this. But whenever you play a combo deck in general, like to me, the objective of any combo deck is to put so many negates on the board that your opponent can't play the game. Like that's what combo decks do. That, or you're playing a floodgate deck and you're trying to stop your opponent from playing the game. So this combo honestly just kind of accomplishes that, in my opinion. It just does it really really well. Because when I'm looking at like the top meta decks of prank kids, excuse me, like they combo forever. It's not like, oh, this combo is so stupid long. I mean, it is long, but I wouldn't say it's like longer than most archetypes in the game today. Like that combo, it's about the same. Takes forever. I mean, that's just that's how the game works when you're playing decks like this. So this is pretty interesting, right? Because this is Fluffles, and in a second I'm going to go ahead and look at his hand. So I know he has the Forbidden Droplets, but here's the thing, right? I'm going to put 4 negates on the board, like 4 really, really powerful negates on the board. And, he was just forced to discard a card because my play starter, for this duel ended up being the Neospace Connector with the Aqua Dolphin, which is really cool because that means you're going to discard 2 cards from your opponent's hand because you are going to go into the XYZ monster eventually, the Phantom Fortress. So your opponent's going to be starting with, 4 cards in their hand? Meaning that if they're going to use Forbidden Droplets, well, they have to use every single card in their hand. And what does that leave them? Literally nothing to make their plays, which, Dark Rule no More definitely beats this deck. A lot of things beat this deck. When you look at the end board, you think, oh, wow, this deck is unbeatable. Not necessarily true. First of all, it's very easy to stop this deck for the most part. Like, stop, I sold, and there you go. If your opponent isn't super familiar, they may ash the first effective I sold, and then you're just kind of good to go. But otherwise, when people are playing against this with me, they're acting like, oh wow, this is just like insane. It is insane, but it's certainly not meta. And during all these combos, you're gonna stack your opponent's deck, meaning that they will never draw into something that can beat you. And here, like I said, right, they can only discard 3, and you have 4 hard negates. So it's like, what do they choose? I don't know. So that is one card that does not beat this deck at all. Here's Flundereeze. He's got something like Mystic Mine. He's got Pot of Disparity. Like none of these cards do anything at all. And with this combo here, with Droll and Lockbird doesn't actually do anything. Like you're not searching. The effective I sold is really just to get discard fodder at the end of the day. There's not a follow-up play. You literally leave it all out on the table, so you either win or you don't, which is pretty obvious when you look at the end board, of course, but here we go. I'm stacking his deck. Most of the time, you just want to stack to their deck a normal spell card that they're, obviously going to be negated by the Notoria fusion monster, because it's not a once per turn. Every spell and trap is going to be negated, and there goes the Appaloosa, plus the Notoria Exterio. And yeah, so I obviously put that at the top of his deck, and so I've been as I've been playing this deck, I've been called the F word, I guess I'll say. I don't know. I don't want this video to get flagged. Someone told me I was yakking off to myself, which I thought was a little extreme. So this hand obviously is not going to work. And this is really cool. I wanted to show you this one because I think in my combo video, I'm like, oh, like you definitely need to leave a level 4 out there. You actually don't. So Fire Flint Lady works too. So if you have 2 of them in your hand and you only use the effect special summon once to go into your plays, good to go. So there's only like a few kind of like bricks in this deck, and they're pretty harsh. And consistency can be an issue here too. I would say it's probably like a 65% consistency. And as I get more familiar with the deck, and I will do a deck profile for this, I'll kind of probably get those ratios down just a little bit better. I'm pretty happy with where I have things now. Just, yeah. And it's going to be hard whenever you play decks like this that play so many different combo pieces. Like, you're just naturally going to draw some to your hand eventually. And, you know, he has, like, Monster Negate. And the cool thing is like, I actually did play a duel where the top deck would have been Forbidden Droplets. But, you know, other than the fact that it doesn't actually do anything, it's still pretty cool to be able to, like, get that. Because it could have easily have been Dark Ruler No More, too. And when Dragoon gets banned, like, that's kind of what I'm thinking for this. I'm pretty sure this will be fine, because you can just kind of go into Macabre, too. Which obviously is less powerful, but accomplishes the same thing, more or less. And I stack the Monster Gate. Obviously, that doesn't do anything. I'm going to negate that. He's going to try to use the effect. I can use the Appaloosa. I have a ton of negates for that. And I still have the 2 Omni Negates. You're just not losing. And the crazy thing is when you use Aqua Dolphin, you know whether or not you're going to win the duel or not. Because if it's like super poly, you know, obviously that's really good. That's going to kill you. Hopefully you banish it with the Phantom Fortress. Otherwise, you're kind of just laid out there. And there are definitely ways, like, you know, with your end board, it's kind of impossible to get around, you know, with Starving Venom, because Dragoon plus Cyber-Stein, they're both dark monsters, so that makes it a little more difficult. There are certainly ways that you can kind of promote yourself, like Notoria, maybe 1 Dragoon, and then you can go into, like, Appaloosa. Like, that would definitely help you, so something you will get more familiar with as you play the deck. This just doesn't matter, like, at all, of course. Like, you know, this isn't going to do anything. I think he tries to activate a bunch of trap cards here as I go into my battle phase. But as you'll see here, Notoria is not, like, a once per chain. So, Compulsory, Manhunt, or Crackdown, the Heavy Storm Duster. It's just, nothing's going to happen there. I'm going to negate all of them all in the chain. And then I can just go for lethal. This is obviously way more than enough for 8,000 life points. And last is Witchcrafter. The thing I just really, really like about this deck is that Cyber-Stein is a 1-card play starter. That is just the card that the deck is based around. Like, you can just do whatever you want with it. Or it's like basically the best play starter in Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion. 1 card leads to infinite negates, essentially. That's not too shabby. And he didn't really have anything off the top, so, like, again, you're just trying to double check to make sure that you do win the duel. And of course, you know, you don't know what they have in their hand. You're hoping that the 1 card they banish maybe is one of the outs. It's impossible to say until the turn starts. But of all the end boards in Yu-Gi-Oh!, I would say this is probably like a top 5. You do hard lose to, like, you just really hard lose to a lot of things like Nibiru and all that kind of stuff. So, and there we go. I already know what he has off the top. I'm going to go ahead and negate that. And yeah. So I'm not going to go too far because obviously you saw that the end boards are very, very similar for the most part. But I think this deck is really cool. It's really fun. It's really unique. I don't know if your opponent will think the same thing, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.